Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description. Check it out.
Podcast brought to you in part by our friends at geology.com/ham. 40% off any trial set.
Yep, geology.com/ham. Face wash, face lotion. Can't recommend it enough.
All right, we got our first eyes on Trey Lance in person today. We went out to Niners OTA. We got to watch him. I guess we could have posted some of the videos in this video and on this podcast to prove that we were there, but we both posted on Instagram, so you can go see some of the videos of Trey Lance. The good stuff you can't really film as time went on, but we got to see him. What'd you think? What were your first impressions of watching Trey Lance throw the ball around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, when you just see him physically, now Jimmy is, I would say, slightly below average. I wouldn't call him, partly because they're short quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and some of them are good. I mean, Russell, Baker, Kyler, right, 6 feet and under, which is not normal in the NFL. And I mean, two number one picks, and Jimmy's, right around 6'2". But to me, I mentioned this to you at practice, just watching Trey Lance's physical attributes, because that's all. I'm not, can't see him reading defenses. And there was a play, probably team later where it got picked or dropped. It was hard to tell from our vantage point, but I'm not judging. I'm just judging him up. Arm strength, physical stature. I said to you, if he had gone back to school, right, for his junior year, I think he came out redshirt sophomore, the hype on him to me would have been Josh Allen, Wentz, just this small school elite talent. And I said, listen, I don't know the quarterback class top to bottom right now.
Sam Howell.
But I think he's probably the number one pick in the draft. If he has a good season, puts up numbers like he did his freshman season, when you just look at his physical attributes, and you could argue you don't even necessarily need to, right? Like more than ever, the unknown and the physical attributes are going to win out. We didn't even really see him run because you're not tackling anybody. And that's an element that, like, he's big and has a big arm. But God, I mean, running is an element that he brings to the table too. Like, he's blue chip might be a little strong because, I mean, he ended up going to where he went to school, but he looks the part, man. I mean, there's no way around it. Like, that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's not blue chip in the sense that he literally was not a blue chip recruit, but based on his physical skills, he is blue chip based on size, strength, athleticism, arm strength, and speed, right? He would be, if you didn't know anything about his background and said, okay, scout, is this guy a blue chip physical, build, just everything together, you'd say, yes, he is blue chip. I think one thing that was good, it was not a very long OTA practice, but we saw we got to watch a lot of individual drills. I know that's your speed, John, a 1 hour practice. For the millennials, phone break, we got to watch a good amount of 11 on 11 and a plenty of 7 on 7, right?
Yeah.
We got to see a lot of them. And, the first thing that I think stood out, and we'll talk about Jimmy. I got some other stuff about Jimmy that we'll get to. So do you. But I think in terms of size, that stood out. I thought two plays, one hits Kittle down the sideline, and Kittle looks really good, and just is active and screaming and yelling at people. But the incomplete pass you're talking about, to me, was significant in just the display. You don't see a ton of 100-mile-an-hour throws in these settings. We did see some deep balls. You can talk about some of the deep balls we watched him throw to a stationary target. But the one pass that got broken up, which you see, it feels like you see a lot when you watch a 7-on-7 highlight. It'll be nose and within 5 yards, and there's just a line of like linebackers like 8 yards down the field or something, and you're trying to fit it into a tight window, which is what he tried to do. It was the one throw that I really saw him try to really throw a fastball, and it was a fastball. Like, you noticed the throw before you saw the result. You noticed the throw because I said to you, I went, whoa, as the throw got unloaded. And then it got deflected, and you started laughing at me for loving the throw before we got the result. But to me, it was partly like there was the Warren Sharp video that went around like a month ago, in which it's like the cut up of every Josh Allen pass that should have been picked but wasn't last year, and it's like 18 balls or 20 balls or something like that. Like, he does have a speed in him. He does have in his arm something that it may not be in the strike zone, but it's going to be hard to hit, right? AKA, it's going to be hard to pick. And he made one throw like that on Wednesday, and it was an incomplete pass, not an interception. Clearly, he was trying to fit it into a tight window. It was not complete, but it also was not caught by the defense.
Well, I think in plays like that, and you just, I know people listening, you can't attend practice and just even the minimal videos that come out because the Niners are smart. They limit the amount. His physical attributes to me seeing that is exactly what I said the entire time why they couldn't take Mac Jones. Because part of taking a guy really high is he has to possess the elite traits, right? And then ideally playing quarterback more than like other positions and playing football in general is more than just traits, right? Ideally you get Trent Williams, who's big, can run like a deer, who's powerful, and is an elite player. Like just the total package, right? Most guys aren't. I mean, Tom Brady was not coming out. Aaron Rodgers was not coming out. But Russell Wilson, obviously, like the best. Mahomes wasn't even viewed as that coming out. But if you're going to take a guy at number 3 overall, you have to be confident that you can coach him up, right? Which clearly they are. Like add things to his arsenal upstairs, just because naturally you're only going to know so much at 20, 21 years old, right? You're going to be able to coach him up mentally. Like that's to me. You cannot teach what he possesses physically. Where the problem with Mac Jones is he's limited physically. So you're getting a guy that like Trey is going to be able to do things for Kyle that even Jimmy, who actually is more mobile than like the Jared Goffs and the Cousins of the world can do, but on a way different level. And Kyle had mentioned that during I guess his introductory press conference when they made the trade. It's like ideally you'd want like Lamar Jackson meets Drew Brees. Was he talking about that? That was before the draft, right? When him and John sat down.
That was the Monday before the draft, yeah.
Yeah, and part of that is like
Angry
that's
Kyle
why you get
the
this.
Monday before
Now
the
we
draft.
don't know how good this guy's going to be, but I already sign off on the like that's what it's supposed to look like. Like Mac Jones, I don't even know how we would have done this podcast if Mac Jones had just been like, "Wow, he just really seeing it well." Like fuck, That's what you told me about C.J. Beathard.
Yeah, that's Michael Holley's job now.
It's done to even they drafted the guy. So there was even like talking to a couple people out there, like the Mac is still a conversation, right? It's like,
well, of course, this is what I said before the draft. No matter who they draft, they'll draft that person, and then it'll be like, okay, the decision is over. But really, none of this has even begun. Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Justin Fields and Mac Jones and Trey Lance and maybe some 3rd rounder or 4th rounder or 5th rounder that's going to have a career. This thing is only just begun. It's only just the idea that, like, we know now that Trey Lance is definitely better than Mac Jones. We don't. I mean, everything we've been talking about has been about draft value, but this thing has only just begun. And that's why you're looking at this is, I think, in part because you're going to have a condensed preseason with only 3 games. This is going to be a hugely anticipated preseason because one of the things that we cannot know when we watch him at OTAs, you're allowed to tackle quarterbacks in the preseason games, John. Right? And until you can do that, I don't know what a guy looks like running around making plays.
Yeah, I mean, I there's a balance to it too. Like, the one thing with preseason games is the McGlincheys and the Alex Macks, and I mean Trent Williams probably won't play a snap. There's a balancing act of throwing them out there with guys like some practice squad or get them hurt because the guys on the other end. Like the one thing in preseason games, you have people that shouldn't be out there with your high-end players going up against some guys that are on defense doing everything they can to make a team, right? And it's a hard balance because you want to play him a ton during the preseason, but it's like, am I playing him in the second half of some of these games, right? With 3rd and 4th stringers? Like that's where you get in these precarious situations with but he needs the reps. This is where I think Dilfer said it with Russillo a while back. I don't know if if you told me Jimmy doesn't play a snap in the preseason, I will not push back on that. I'd have no issue with it. What has Jimmy proven he's not out to prove anything. Maybe give him a series, maybe, but like McVay forever didn't make Jared Goff do preseason games. Like I'm cool with Trey Lance starting all the preseason games.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, it's the only question would be where's Jimmy in terms of by the time you get to early September, is he where he needs to be in terms of just timing and rhythm? And if he is, then you really don't gain anything.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, he looked like just normal. We'll get into Jimmy here in a second, but like the Jimmy I saw out there is going to be like, he just stays healthy. He's going to be ready for the season. Would you agree with that? Like if he doesn't play a preseason game, I will not have a
Garoppolo's fine. Yeah. Garoppolo's fine. The question is like, do you want Trey Lance playing with any second teamers? And if so, how much?
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a second teamer.
So in other words, if you're treating him in 3 weeks like, by the way, when they play the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Raiders, will we see one of those 3 starting quarterbacks? Like, not going to see Mahomes, right? Derek, maybe Herbert, new coach, new offense. But
wait, what are the 3 preseason games?
Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, in theory.
It sounds good, like, because you think regular season. They play. Where's the Raider game?
Raider game is at Levi's. See you there.
I can't go to preseason games just out of principle, but that'd be sweet if that was a regular season game, would it not?
Yeah, it would be. It would be. So look, I mean, the point I'm making though is, however much he plays in the preseason, the one thing that's hard to judge, one of his key attributes, you cannot judge in practice because it's not off. You're not getting these off script situations, and even when you do, you go, all right, that's a sack, right? You're running around making a play. The play's over. You would have been out of the pocket running or throwing it away by then, something like that.
And that's part of the thing with football practice is, even you saw some of the 7-on-7 stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can't just hold on to the ball for 10 seconds. And this you probably see the same thing if you were watching Mahomes or Dak Prescott or Tom Brady. It's just a nature of the drill. Like, sometimes the defense in a 7-on-7 shell drill is like the corners are going to shut your guys down, and then what are you going to do? But some of these drills are just a little unrealistic.
What'd you think about the when they set up stationary coach and threw their deep ball today?
I missed that one.
No, you're standing right there.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, all 4 guys. I mean, Jimmy might have the worst arm of the 4, just pure power. I mean, Josh Rosen.
Rosen for sure. Sudfeld, I don't know. Sudfeld's massive, but
well, Trey's got a better arm than
6
Jimmy.
feet.
Rosen
6'6".
has a better arm than Jimmy. More power.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Rosen is big. He's huge, but he clearly, I don't know. So I'm fascinated to know the people that have really, like, I would love to have just beers with people that have been around him for a while. Like, what's he missing? Like, how is this guy can't even be a backup? What's going on here?
He's got a rocket.
Yeah.
His arm, if I said his arm's better than Trey Lance's, would you believe that?
It's hard to tell. I mean, in that situation, I bet in the games, would it look different? I don't know.
No, I know. I'm just, if they just both lined up and tried to throw it as far as they could.
Is he actually really? Could he be decent? And
now, the
no
deep
one
ball
just
he threw,
shot it?
he had the wind at his back, overthrew it by 15 yards. But
yeah, I mean, it's a 55-year-old beer drinking equipment guy. I mean, what are we talking
everyone
about?
else hit him.